Okay, this is going to be basically the same as the Linux video, except for Windows, and note that it's running in a VM, which does unfortunately affect the graphics a little bit. The FPS will be slower than it should be, because it's the same machine as the Linux video, so that's more of the performance you should expect. Again, for this particular machine. Also, because it's Windows, there are a few differences. So here's the zip folder. It is 200 megabytes zipped compared to 65 because it bundles Zig, so that if you do not have MSys2 installed and you don't want to install it, and you don't already have Zig downloaded and on your path, you can still just extract and immediately compile shaders with the bundled Zig compiler, because again, it works as a C and C++ compiler as well. If you do have Zig on your path, then the Zig build scripts, they're PowerShell scripts, but the ones that use the Zig compiler will default to the system Zig rather than the bundled Zig. So don't run these directly, because they will fail to find the libraries here. Run these batch scripts, and there you go. Let's go over here. So there's the bundled Zig. This is where all the textures and such are, which you can replace, matching the correct naming conventions, the names and the formats, and it will load them at startup instead, but I'll get to that more later. So yeah, we'll just go in here first. So again, pretending I don't have MSys2, I'll cover that later, but pretending I don't have MSys2, these are the PowerShell scripts, and I'm in the PowerShell, so I can do build shaders, Zig, and if I want the release, if I just want debug build, that's it. If I want the release build, then it's like that. Probably should have done the debug build to start with, especially for this one, since these are simple shaders. And then so you do this with the bat file, and you can do hello shader.dll, and there you go. And there's the texture tests. Change the texture. Okay, so again, I do recommend watching the Linux video, but just in case you haven't, really quickly, you have different buffers, so you can have multiple shaders. You can load them independently if you want. I actually didn't demo this in the other video, but you can do that. But they only run if you are actively on that shader or on that, that buffer, or or if you select, that one. So this is actually, when this runs every frame, it will run this one, and then it will run the one that's loaded here. Again, just in case the whole point is you could reference that, and I'll show that in another example. So let's go over here. I have more to go over, but so same thing here. I can do the release. This is going to take a bit. While that's running, that was a lot faster than I expected. Huh. Anyway, I wonder why it took so long. That was one. So these are GLM shaders, or they're meant for GLM. So let's look at the video one.
You and what army?
So again, this is just a green screen shader replacing the green screen with some, simple color pattern from Shader Toys default shader.
I'll cover you. Come.
You can see again, this is not. It should be at 60, but the VM graphics pass through is messing it up. Again, the play and pause here are linked to here, but the other way around is not true. So I can pause the video, and it doesn't pause this, and I can go back to the beginning of here. It doesn't pause this. Again, you can change the video. Nothing too special. Green screen is not as effective here. The colors are slightly different. And let's look at this one. So this one demos. Here's the uniforms, which you can see. And if I pause it, some of them are live changeable. Most of them doesn't really make a lot of sense to change, but you can. You can see me scrolling the mouse wheel. I also never demoed in the other video. You can move this around manually. Unfortunately, you cannot click to jump. That's something I need to do, but still. So this shader demonstrates the custom GUI. There's a function prototype. If you implement this function, it will. You can just basically describe the GUI that goes here. It calls that function and puts the elements that the nuclear GUI elements that you describe right here, which lets you do, this sort of stuff. Blah, 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 nothing super complicated. And then again, this is reinitialize shader. It does not reload the SO. So like if you declare a global, then this will not reinitialize that global. Like if you do an initialize at declaration time, what it does do is it recalls the function that sets your channels, which again will reset this back to the other one, and it also calls your other sort of startup functions. There's the one that does if you have any custom textures, with local paths or URLs. That would also be called. I think it's just those two for right now. So, and in this case, these are global variables, but I don't actually initialize them. Like they're just default initialized to 0. They're actually initialized in one of the other functions. So it's kind of a it's not really a hack or a cheat, but basically you can put whatever sort of actual initialization you want for actual global variables or any other state. You can put it in one of the other functions that's just called at startup, at load time, which would be again the setting your channels, setting your textures, or the custom texture function if you have any. Again, I think those are the only ones at the moment. Screenshot here. You start a recording here. Can do something just to make the video more interesting, and then stop the video, and it will show up here. So you have screenshots here, recordings here, and there you go. Oops, cancel. That's not what I wanted. Okay, so where was I? Other things that I need to describe. So this shader is still, again, even I can't demo it in this because, and this is how I know that it's definitely, I mean, I already knew, but I definitely know it's a VM issue because, again, I get hundreds of frames per second with a single thread. I got a little bit up with this, frame shader that's SIMD, accelerated. But to explain what this does, if I do, let's make it, this is so very, very high resolution, and the frame shader is an optional function. You have to have the default pixel, fragment shader always. So if I turn this off, that's what it'll go to. But there's another one that takes the frame buffer and the width and height, and it's just called once rather than for every pixel, and you control, the writing to the pixels, which means you can do multiple pixels at once. SIMD, you can just do some of the pixels and just let it hold over from the last frame or whatever. In this case, that lets you do a lot. So even here, while it should be at 60 locked with VSync, you can still see the difference with one thread using the standard pixel shader, 10 to 12 FPS. If I turn this on, jumps up to 30 to 40, and again, this is at 3400 by 1558, so not a nothing resolution. Anyway, what else? We did this one. Yes. So I sort of brushed over, this is obviously your channel selection, you have cube maps. You have these 4 slots. These are the ones, these from here to here. These are the ones that are, in the media textures subfolder that are loaded at startup time. This is just a default white pixel that I hard code. But these 4 slots are, for your own custom textures. You can, again, with that function I was telling you about before, where you can load custom textures, from at startup time. It's in the code. This is a path. This is a local file. Here. Let me just show this one. Yeah. This one. So I just I passed the path to this file in this shader. I said I wasn't gonna show code in this video, but maybe I will break my, I don't want to open that, edit in Notepad. So yeah, here's your custom texture loaded. All these things are commented, so if you're just learning, I would go through from the PGL shaders to the GLM and RSW and just read the code, read the comments. But you can see I just give it a relative path here and a URL here, and that comes up here with you start it. You can clear it out and it will go back to this state. You can find another image on your drive or a URL and just do it at runtime instead of startup time. What else? I think that's unfortunately this is the only other. I really should have a different let's go back to full and let's go back to smaller and 16 threads. Anyway, so this is showing buffer, although it's not doing anything fancy. It does have its own thing. So you can do this, set this to red. I made it share. So again, this is a multipass buffer where the code actually has a function for each of these, and the naming convention shows that. But okay, I don't care. But anyway, I just wanted to. So this function had to be duplicated too. So it's 1 for each. If I only had it, 1, it would only show up on that pass. But anyway, so again, it's just this shader is referencing buffer A as its input, and then it's doing something, different to show that. But again, there's not not a lot of fanciness going on. It's more just to demo things. And lastly, let's go to the RSW. And again, this is, oh, that was something else I was going to do. So there's also a there's two PowerShell scripts here. And there's also the bash for if you're working with MSys2, which maybe I'll show in a second. The clean is just to see all these files. If you're using the Zig build, you get DLL, PDB, and .lib, and these are artifacts from the shader workshop itself, because they don't, when it's doing a safe reload, it copies, and unlike Linux, it doesn't automatically delete something when you're switching over. That's a bug I need to fix, but it doesn't hurt anything. So the clean script does exactly what it sounds like. It just removes all that junk, and you're left with mostly clean. I still need to edit that so that it deletes those as well. I will have to fix that. You know what? Whatever. I'll fix it later. Anyway, so last one here. So this is one I did not run in the Linux video because it's really slow, and now it's going to be even slower on this VM. Oh well. Yeah, so ray marching is just not, it's not a very good algorithm for the CPU, even with 16 or 32. This VM is limited to half of my actual threads, but anyway, it works. And then the other one here is a 3D volume. You can use, obviously not not a whole lot to do with it, but this just cycles through the planes just for something to do. And preferences, I don't know if I covered that. You can change the directories of where screenshots and recordings go. These are your startup preferences. So when I was changing the resolution and FPS and stuff like that, that was just live. That was just like while I'm running it. If I exit and then start up again, it will be reset to these values. These are what gets saved in the config file right here. And the appearance, you can do the default nuclear, which is kind of boring, light, and then if you want to customize it, just go to the one you want to base it off and then go back to custom, and these will be changeable, and it will be saved again in the config file. And about just information where you can submit bugs, suggestions, what libraries, some of the libraries I'm using, I'm probably missing some, and website, nothing else there. I guess there's one more I could do. Maybe I should do it. Maybe I should do it in MSys2 just to demo that. Wow, I've been going for 19 minutes. Sorry. Here, let's do move. That's, I need to change that script so it deletes all that. Oops. So here, if you're in MSys2, then obviously you can't run the PowerShell scripts, but the build shader scripts are the same ones that you would use on Linux, and they work here. Again, just like with the Zig script, no arguments is the debug build. On the PowerShell script for Zig, you have to do -R release to do the release build. For this one, you just have to have any argument, and it will do the release build. And obviously you have to have G++ or GCC for the C shaders. You have to have them installed in this environment. So when you install MSys2, do pacman -s whatever it is. You can look it up. I'll cover it in another video maybe. Again, this is why we have the Zig bundled, so you can just use that out of the box. Why is this frozen? Oh my gosh. I swear. It's not my fault. It's the VM. Just throws up sometimes. Come on. Not respond. Perfect. We're just gonna close it. Why does it do this? Let's try one more time. To go all the way back. There's no way to. Okay, how far did we get? Did we finish them all? I think that's all of them, yeah. So theoretically, if I do this again, it should just say all done. Yeah, so nothing to do because they're all up to date. If you change one of the CPP files and run it again, it will detect the different timestamp and it will update it. Same with the Zig script. I should have mentioned that. I don't think I mentioned that in the other video at all. They're not super smart build scripts, but they do check timestamps. So here, wait, what was I going to test? I don't even remember. Oh well, we'll run the keyboard, I guess. Oops, not SODLL. What? Oh, right. So I have to do the bat. Always do the bat script, or else it won't find the libraries. So I'm hitting the arrow keys, and if you look, I should probably. Oh right, that's different. There is no. I changed that from ShaderToy. Again, I'll cover this more in the coding video. In shadertoy.com, actually, I misspoke. Maybe it should be here. I don't know. In shadertoy.com, the keyboard is a texture. It's a special texture lumped in with like buffers and microphones and video cameras and things like that. And you access it just like all the other things through the channel, one of the channels. In mine, I made it just a global. So it's a uniform. All my uniforms are globals, but I don't actually show it here. I guess because it would, it's a giant, 256 or something array by 3 for all the different keys. You have, is it pressed? Is it like a press? Is it down? And also there's a toggle thing. So you can see how this color is changing. I'm hitting the same key, and that's just showing that there is a on-off toggle as well, just like ShaderToy. Yeah. resolution. You can lock the resolution so that when I resize it, it does not, it's still 800 by 450. If I unlock it, it will jump to the actual space. Yeah, same as FragChord. These are basically modeled after FragChord with some differences. I'm sorry for that long rambling video. Please watch this at 1.5x or whatever you normally do, just to be more efficient again, or watch the Linux one first, or instead. And thanks for listening. If you're interested, shaderworkshop.com. I will put a link in the description of this video as well. Any feedback, if you have a GitHub account, go to here. If not, I'm sure there's something on itch. This redirects to itch where it's for sale. Yeah. Sorry. Have a good night.